Hi all, my name is Shiva. I have close to 20 years of experience into IT. Predominantly, I'm into BI and data analytics. I worked on, as part of my job, I worked on like different BI tools, like traditional BI tools like IBM Cosmos. Then I worked on actually Tableau, and then I worked on actually Power BI. Now I started working on actually Sigma computing. Okay, so it has a more future for who are into BI. Okay, suddenly the trend now it's changing towards to Sigma computing. It is going to have a lot of demand in coming future. Okay, so what exactly Sigma computing, and today I'm going to cover. What exactly Sigma computing, major advantages with the advantages and major features of Sigma computing, and what is an architecture of Sigma computing, and as well as what are the connectors are there to bring the data from actually a different database and push into our Sigma computing, and all that we are going to cover. Okay. So what is Sigma computing? Okay, Sigma computing definition. Let's see. Okay, Sigma is a browser-based BI layer that sits on the top of the cloud data warehouse. Any browser, just if you go to actually like Edge, otherwise Google Chrome. Simply, if you have a like your Sigma URL, just simply you can connect actually. Okay, just it's basically a browser based. That's what I'm trying to tell you this. Okay, it sits on the actually data cloud data warehouse. Like it doesn't on premises it doesn't support basically. It always sits on the data warehouse only. That is nothing but your BigQuery, otherwise Redshift, otherwise Snowflake and all this. Okay, so unlike a traditional BA tool that extract the data and import it to, okay, Sigma pushes all the compute down to the data warehouse, like your Snowflake and BigQuery and Redshift. So what exactly this is? Like any traditional BA tools, if you go to Power BI, otherwise Tableau, there is an import mode option, right? So where like always like data is going to be processed, and in the tool itself, like Power BI, otherwise Tableau itself, it's going to be processed. It's going to show the data. Okay. When it comes to Sigma computing, it never ever save the data. Okay. It's always show the real time data. It will generate SQL query and it will push down to the actual database. Like that is nothing but all the compute, whatever it is there, that's going to happen in your database itself. So that is not, there is no import concept. It's always a real-time data it's going to show. Okay, that is an advantage of actually Sigma computing. Okay, so there is a 3 points actually I mentioned in the top. There is a cloud native analytics platform. As I mentioned, that is it's always Snowflake, BigQuery, and Redshift, and it's going to pick it up, and from that on it's the data on top of on it's going to sit and pick the data from there. Compute stays on your warehouse. As I mentioned, it always push the queries to the actually database. Okay, Sigma is a presentation layer. It's nothing but a presentation layer in the sense first layer where we are going to develop your dashboards and everything, and below that what are the database and everything is going. That is ultimately a first presentation layer is Sigma. Okay, so what is a major advantage of Sigma computing is push down architecture. Okay, as I mentioned, it's going to generate the query and it's pushed to actually Snowflake, otherwise BigQuery, otherwise Redshift. Okay, and then no data movement. Data never leaves your data warehouse. Okay, always always data is going to be stored in database itself. Okay, it never import data from actually database to again to store to Excel Sigma. No. Okay, that is nothing but no data movement. Data never moved from actually database. That's what it's trying to say. But spreadsheet UX plus SQL, when kind of a spreadsheet look like in Excel, the way it's going to look if you are going to open actually your Sigma computing, it looks like just an Excel only. Okay, that's what it's trying to say. The SQL, whatever it is there. Okay, enterprise level of security, row level security is going to IO, OAuth and SSO, single sign on and all that. It's going to be supported. Okay, yeah. Then let's go to the next slides. Okay, basically. There is a four core components of Sigma. We can are there. Okay, so basically one is connectors, other one is catalog, the third one is actually a data model, and fourth one is actually workbook. Okay, each and every one will try to understand what exactly the difference between each other and what is important of each other. Also, we'll try to discuss now. So before discuss about these components of Sigma, let's see the interface of actually Sigma computing. Okay, so I'll show you Sigma computing interface when it comes to actually see just an URL you have to, okay, then you have to log in with your user ID and password. Then we are going to reach to this base, okay. This is nothing but from here only we are going to create your workbook, reports, data model, like SQL query, CSV upload, and everything we are going to do it. So this is an actually an interface of Sigma computing. Okay. Now let's discuss actually major important what are the four core components of Sigma, whatever I've discussed. Okay. Then we are going to discuss that. What is connectors? Connectors is nothing but if you go what is the data is there in the database. Okay. That is not your cloud database. So you have actually a Sigma computing. Okay. There should be some connection, right, to get the data from the database and show it to actually in the report. So that is nothing but direct through your what are the connections we are going to create it, and then we are going to pull the data from your database to actually a report. Okay, that is nothing but this connections information. Okay, connection definition basically. Okay, so what is catalog? Catalog is if you go to if you are going to see the catalog. Okay, catalog is what actually it's going to show the all the objects whatever it is there, right? So general definition point of view and a data point of view, it's a database point of view. If you go to database, we are going to have a first what are the database. In the database we go to connect to the SQL server, let's say, where we are going to see database, and then under that what are the schemas are there, and then what are the tables are there, all that information is going to see, you can see that, right? So something like that, if you are going to connect to the catalog where we can see all the all the information, that is not catalog here. Okay, data model. See the latest version of Sigma the Sigma computing analytics. See, it got earlier there was a data sets and worksheets was there. Now that got replaced with actually a data model. Okay, so what exactly the data model? Okay, it's a centralized, reusable, semantic layer, defined relationships, build metrics, apply RLS, and shared governed table across all the workloads. Okay, so if you see ERD plus relationship plus matrix plus RLS plus reusable matrix. So what exactly it is if you are going to have you have a database now. Okay, so using catalog you are trying to connect the tables and have a report requirement. Let's say you have a dashboard requirement, something you want to see a dashboard where arc performance, otherwise like specific country based arc performance we want to see with the based on the different dimensions. Okay, so let's say I have customer top 10 customers I want to see based on their sales. Okay, based on their purchase point of view. Okay, and I want to see a top 10 product sales based on that, what are the products are there. Okay, even I want to see a detailed data of location based, what are the sales happened, all that information I want to see another other base. Okay, such a way I have created a different visualizations I want to create it. So certainly I have a fact table, and I have actually a product table, I have actually a dimension table of product, I have actually a location, a customer location, I have a dimension table. Other one is customer information of one dimension, it is there. So you have to see the combining the information from a three different or four different tables, one dimension, multiple dimension table, and fact table. Then suddenly we need a joint, right? That's what you're talking about right now. That is nothing but relationships. Okay, build the metrics. Let's say I have my source table, fact table, I have actually a price is there, quantity is there, price into quantity equal to revenue, right? So that calculation you want to do it, such calculations we are going to do it. Okay, and then any naming convention point of view, users point of view, something customer customer ID is there, customer number you want to make it as to understand the user point of view. Okay, so otherwise metrics whatever you have created, RLS point of view, row level security, each role, whatever the was as an access respect to person only has to see the data. All that you are going to make a model, okay, on top of your database in Sigma, okay. Then based on that, we are going to make your reports and dashboards, okay. That is nothing but actually a data model. Workbook is, as it's mentioned as a definition, if you see, multi-page canvas, okay, and source from uh, data model elements, okay. See something like, whatever you guys have a knowledge of, like, Tableau, okay. Each sheet we are going to create, and finally we are going to create a dashboard, right? So such way, even if you go to Excel, you are going to create each sheet, and finally you are going to save it as a workbook. Such way, like, here also, like, we are going to create different pages, okay, using each page, like, one page you are going to make one chart, another one is a table, and some other chart you are going to make it, and finally, what other pages are there, you are going to using those visualizations, and you are going to make one dashboard, okay. Then if you want, like, you can give the KPI definition also. Everything is clubbed in a one set of workbook, one set of an object, that is called actually a workbook. If you are going to save it as, you are going to save it as a workbook, okay. That is what actually, if you go to our create new in our Sigma computing, if you are going to click here, there is an option called see workbook, okay. Explore, analyze, and visualize your data. Simple. If you are going to create a workbook, it's going to ask you to create, like, get the data from what are the sources, whatever it is there, and then we are going to create a different pages using that, and finally, then each page you are going to maintain one chart, and other one is like a table, other one is like, some other chart, like, so one page where we are going to show, like, only top 10 customers, like, based on the what are the revenue generated, and the detailed data of other page, like, other page is going to be top 10 products generated based on actually revenue. See, these are the what are the like visualizations you have created. Based on that, you are going to create a final dashboard using that different visualizations what you have created in each page, okay, or one page what are the visualizations you have created. Then finally you are going to create a dashboard, that is what actually a workbook, okay. So we are going to discuss each, and practically I'm going to create, and I'm going to show you each item, whatever we have discussed, components of Sigma, everything I'm going to create, and I'm going to show it to you. Just the definition point of view, high level I'm trying to cover now, okay. This is called actually a workbook, okay. Then connectors, okay. As I mentioned, like in the beginning, connector is in between from your database to your ultimately your Sigma computing. There is supposed to be connections, right? So that is not but your Snowflake connection or BigQuery connection or Redshift. How we are going to connect, I'm going to show you. Then even connector also I'm going to show you right now, okay. Just it's a high level I'm going to cover it. When it comes to actually a reporting point of view, when you are going to create a dashboard, end to end I'm going to show you, okay. So if you go to your profile, okay, here we are going to have add a connection, okay. As I mentioned, like, which connection you want to use. There are so many connections are there, like through Redshift you can, Snowflake you can, SQL Server you can use it, BigQuery you can use it. So if I'm going to use Snowflake created all the information we have to keep. Such a way the connection is going to be created from the database to actually your Sigma computing. Then we can build your reports, okay. So this is nothing but connection information. So such way different connections, whatever I've discussed I'm trying to discuss with you, like in BigQuery and Redshift, all that I have seen, we have seen right here. Then what connections, okay. This is a connection information. So as I mentioned, like, catalog, already we have seen the definition. So what exactly this is, a catalog and data model difference. Basically, catalog is a database. What are the items are there? All that information it's going to show. All the tables, like not the databases, schemas, tables, all that information it's going to be shown in actually your catalog. Okay, it's going to have a data, it's going to be loaded. No, it doesn't load the data. It always show the metadata information, nothing but tables information, what are there, like column names and types and row count, everything it's going to be shown. who to use in the analysts basically browsing to find out the right source table and data model element related they want to see. They can use that actually. Mostly the use case is going to be data discovery point of view, which table what data it is there and all that. To understand that, it's going to be useful. Okay, when it comes to like from the catalog only we are going to build actually a data model. So end-to-end architecture, let's discuss. So basically, as I mentioned, like in the beginning, cloud with data warehouse, it's trying to connect this part. Okay, then using a connector, like we are going to connect to the database. Okay, and then catalog, it's going to show you all the database related, like tables, your schemas, your databases, all that information is going to be shown in your catalog. Okay, then it's going to be a data model is going to be there, like what are the tables are there, required tables you are going to pull according to your reporting requirement point of view. Then you are going to join and you are going to do a filtering and all that, like what are the data on the set of data is required, and accordingly you are going to create a model properly. Then based on that we are going to create a workbook. Okay, so then once the workbook is created, okay, then as I told you, like workbook is a combination of so many pages, like where each page is going to contain either actually uh, a dashboard, otherwise like different visualizations, like only specific to the customer related top 10 sales, other like product related top 10 products, whatever it is there, like location based on like which one location has been performed highest and all that information. Like, this is the based on that whatever you have the visualizations you have created, everything you are make actually a one report, and then we are going to publish that. So that is nothing but like your workbook itself is going to hold all this information. Okay, finally consumers is going to consume that information, and like they are going to see the report on the see the run the report and see the data. Okay, so that is actually a architecture.